Greetings. My name is Louise Dente, and I welcome you to yet another edition of Cultural Caravan. On this edition, we're on location here at the 8th annual Wofabe African Dance and Drum Festival. We're going to be treated with some of the best dance companies here in the tri-state area. Some of the companies represented are the Camille A. Brown Dancers, as well as Kinetic Afrique, Newark Dance Ensemble, and Usama Dance Company. Well, are you ready for a treat? Well, I am. Let's go.
Of the dance. When spirit calls, you must answer. Love, light, blessing, life, gifts from spirit. We are moved to dance this feeling, to play its melody, to sing its praise, to tell its story. It is ours to tell. The ancestors beg us to remember. The elders are joining them. Time is running out. Open up to spirit. Allow spirit to move your soul. Become one with the dance, with the drum. Let it take you back to the beginning.
hear me, she's calling me. I can hear my mother's voice. I can hear my mother's voice, and she's calling me. But I can hear my mother, she's calling me. Oh, won't you come on home, child, cross the waters. But I'm alone away from home. Well, sometimes, you know, I feel just like. Sometimes I feel just like I'm a motherless child. Motherless child. Telling you, sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Lord knows I'm a motherless child. Yeah. Sometimes I feel a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Yeah, but you know I'm a long way from home. But I can hear my mother's voice calling me back. Sometimes come on home, come on home. I miss you, child, but I'm a long way. Sometimes I feel like from a home, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Greetings. My name is Louise Dente, and I welcome you to yet another edition of Cultural Caravan. On this edition is a special, as we're joined by Master Communicator, Mr. Bob Law. Welcome to Cultural Caravan.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure and it's an honor. Bob, you have been in the business, goodness gracious, I don't want to say since I was in diapers, I'm not going to say that, but you've been in the business for quite a while. Talk to us first about what inspired you to go into broadcast journalism.
Well, you know, I was always in communication as an art form. And I was trained to be a graphic designer, trained in advertising and the selling of ideas, products and ideas. And so communication through media was just a natural step. Just kind of felt right for me. What happened and the way I got into it was through political activism and raising some concerns about the kind of music that was being played on black radio stations in the early 1970s that we thought were problematic in terms of the values and the ideas that it was promoting. And one of the most damaging songs was Superfly. And I was working in the community as a volunteer in youth programs where we were talking to young people about anti-drug messages. And the difficulty that we were having is that Superfly film and music had made coke dealing so popular that we had young people who couldn't afford coke anyway, but they were buying and wearing coke spoons around their neck as a status symbol.
Wow.
And people heard the song, but they didn't really listen to the whole song. You know, Curtis Mayfield said, Superfly, you're going to make your fortune by and by. That's all they heard. He also said, but your hustle is wrong. And if you lose, don't ask any questions why. They didn't hear that part.
Exactly.
And so we went out to WWRL Radio, which was out in Woodside, Queens at the time. And it was one of the major black music stations in the country, really. And it was one of the major black music stations in New York City. And we went there and talked to the management, program director and the general manager, and they agreed with our assessment. And it was after the music had been playing for about maybe 2.5 months that they agreed then to take it off the playlist. And that was my introduction to radio. And in order to talk about our concern, I was asked to come on a talk show called Tell It Like It Is by Bernie McCain, hosted by Bernie McCain. Before the TV show, there was Tell It Like It Is. Bernie always felt that ABC TV tried to steal his title, his name for Like It Is. But he invited me on his radio show on Sunday afternoon. It was the major talk show in the city, black talk show in the city, and I came on a few times to talk about our concern, and that kind of introduced me to him and people at the radio station. A few months later, Bernie McCain called me and said, well, you came out here a few months ago to tell us how to run this radio station. Would you like to come out now and help us do it? And so they offered me his job, as he did, as he was moving to the West Coast to become program director. But Bernie McCain is the person who is very much responsible for me getting into radio.
You did a lot with radio. You used your vehicle as a vehicle to motivate. I remember staying up late at night when Night Talk, listening, and many people were followers. And you talked to us about politics, you talked to us about activism, and one of the things that you also got us involved in is Buy Black. Talk to us about that. Now, one of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the station was owned by African Americans. Talk to me about, just first of all, trying to using the medium to really inspire our people for change. Talk to us about that experience you had.
When I went to work in radio in the 1970s, and that was the glory days of black radio, and the station at that point was white owned. By the time I did Night Talk, as we moved into the 80s, now the station was black owned. It was, but the thing about radio, black radio, see, black radio is a unique phenomenon. It doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. Only here in this country is there black radio. In other countries, in England, there's the BBC, and there might be a black show. But there was no such thing as black radio, 24 hours black radio. And what was remarkable about and powerful about black radio is black radio gave voice to the black community. See, you remember, well, you wouldn't remember, but there were images of black people that were all buffoons. And there was Amos and Andy. There were Stepin Fetchit, all of those kind of images of black people. And the black people who, when they spoke, they mumbled, you know, they would say, did I yell him for a job?
I was laying down dreaming, everybody was trying to wake me up. It's like they was knocking, rocking, socking, and rebopping.
You know, they would talk like that. Then came black radio. When black radio came, the people on the air, before you even considered what they said, and it was all men at the time, in the early days of black radio, the radio personalities, it used to be that they would ask you first to say something because they wanted you to have a voice that sounded like you should be on the air. So you had black men who are articulate, who could enunciate, who were speaking now, not only to black people, which was important, but they were also speaking on behalf of black people. They were saying, we can talk, we can articulate, we can enunciate, and we can perform. So when you turned on the radio, black people enjoyed just hearing the voice on the radio. They just enjoyed the way they talked. And then those voices on the radio became performers. You know, it was black radio that created really radio personalities. Prior to black radio or blacks on the radio, the disc jockey was an announcer, but the black disc jockey was a performer. And they had these hip names. You know, so Frankie Crocker was the chief rocker, you know, and Hank Spann was the soul server. And Gary Bird was the GBE, the Gary Bird Experience, which is now the Global Black Experience. And there were people like that all around the country. Herb Kent in Chicago, the magnificent Montague in D.C. There were Jocko, you know, who would come on the air saying, "E, diddy, yak, ho, this is the jock, and I'm back on the scene with the record machine." You know, the correct time now is 4:15. They were performers, and they were articulate, unlike what they have on the air currently. And but they gave voice. But then black radio did more. It gave voice to the black community. It gave voice to black culture. Now, there was always wonderful music, but the music was being performed on what was called the Chitlin Circuit. And the music was being performed in back roads and small venues up in the country and out of the way. It was as though this music was only good enough for black people to listen to in secret. And it kind of like, it was all underground. But there was some marvelous music. And now came black radio. They began to play that music on the radio. So it's no longer on the back roads now. It's no longer on the Chitlin Circuit only. Now it's on the air. Now everybody can hear black performers and the power and the energy of those black performers. I saw a tribute to, not a tribute to, but there was a video of people performing at the White House for Obama. And Jill Scott was there, and Patti LaBelle, and I don't remember all the other people, Ariana, the little sister Ariana. And they were singing Proud Mary, you know, and it was rocking, and everybody loved it. And the white people in the audience loved it, everybody loved it. Well, Proud Mary, that was Ike Turner. I know they give Tina Turner all the credit, but that was Ike Turner. That was Ike's song, that was Ike's arrangement, that was his whole approach. And that's what the music sounded like back on the Chitlin Circuit. But now you could hear that kind of music right up in your face. It made black folk proud. It made us proud to say, this is what we can do. And look at the people that we've been listening to all this time. Look how wonderful Sam Cooke is. You know, listen to Gladys Knight and the Pips. Listen to Little Anthony and the Imperials. So we put the music up front. And the black community drew a sense of pride from being able to showcase how wonderful we really are.
Let's talk now about today. I know what you and Gary were doing, which was powerful in the 80s, 90s, and it was funny because I remember jockeying from LIB in the early part of the day, then going down to Night Talk, and that's because both of you basically were providing us with a sense of pride, a sense of where we are, and basically direction. Today, as you know, things have changed. What basically do you see, particularly at the state of black communications? Because it's not just the radio now, we're also talking about television and other things, and how is that impacting us as a people?
See, one thing to keep in mind, just stay with radio just for a moment.
Yes.
Radio, the people on the radio were, in a very real sense, the first black motivational speakers. The people on the radio would say things that the black motivators say now. You know, Hank Spann would say, he used the term brother man, sister lady. And so you knew who he was talking to. And he would say, remember, before we can get up, we got to get down. In the black community, people know get down means to get serious, to take care of business, to follow through. They said things like that. But this jockey would say, you know, with me and my friends, it's understood. Whatever I do it good. While the rest of these guys are laughing and joking, I'm on the case cooking and smoking. All of those kind of things. And people would identify with that and identify with being encouraged every day to take care of business, to be serious, laugh and joke when you should, but cook and smoke when you should. Take care of business. And it was the disc jockey who could sell that idea more effectively than anybody else because he sold it all around the music. And the music would come and reinforce and say the same thing. So if we would say on the radio that we got to get, before we can get up, we got to get down, and then you say that into Stevie Wonder saying keep on pushing, or Curtis Mayfield saying keep on pushing, or Stevie Wonder saying reach for higher ground. See, the music and the dialogue. Correct. And that's what was powerful. And that's what has been removed today. So that the disc jockey, the radio personality, who still has great influence, only now the radio personality tells you to hate each other and tells you to kill each other. The radio personalities today tell the audience to disrespect and demean black women. So you've got a song that says, I've got my shooters lined up in a row to spray your whole neighborhood. I hope your mother and grandmother's home. I'm gonna, and I don't give a F, and he don't say F. I don't give a F who I hit. Those are song lyrics from today.
Mm-hmm.
There's Snoop Dogg has a song that he sang at the most recent BET Awards, where he said, "I don't rat-a-tat-tat. I never hesitate to put an N on his back." So the music now encourages killing and encourages disrespect. And two singers, Cardi B and Nicki Minaj,
Yes.
just had a fierce fight.
Yes.
Almost came to blows. That's why I said they did come to blows. Because they don't watch each other perform and enjoy it and support each other. Could you imagine Gladys Knight and Dionne Warwick having a fight over anything? And certainly not over some music. And when they sang together, when they sang that song together, that's what friends are for.
Exactly.
If you watch that video and look at Gladys enjoying Dionne while she is singing.
Yes.
You know, look at Dionne enjoying Stevie Wonder when he began his part of the song. Those are messages that still resonate with the people who witness that. But the music today and the disc jockey today is being used as a weapon against black people.
It is really great to know that you are back on air on BAI. Please tell us about the station that you're currently on for those who may not know and the time.
Well, you know, WBAI is part of the Pacifica radio chain, and it's public radio.
Yes.
And so I'm doing a show on WBAI. Gary Bird is there. Ron Daniels is there. There's a sister who does a show called Sojourner Truth. She has a really good show. There's a handful of black folk on WBAI, and it gives, see, our ideas are so powerful.
Yes.
Like when the Grandes Amados in the 1960s started talking about natural hair, that idea was so powerful. Look today, that the fruit of that still exists.
Exactly.
Is still flourishing.
Exactly.
Our ideas are that powerful. So I'm only on the air 2 hours a week
Just tell me what it is for
on
you.
Tuesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. on WBAI, which is at 99.5 FM. Powerhouse FM signal. It's like a TV signal. You can hear it all over the tri-state area. And but we are there, and we raise the issues. We bring people on. It is an effort again to give voice to the black community, but it is also to give voice to our ideas.
Correct.
And it is to make sure that we raise issues and have some discussion that if we were not there, these discussions would never take place.
I think that the fact that you, Gary, and others are back and certainly setting that standard of communication. And one of the things that Cultural Caravan does is we particularly, again, out of respect and honor of the work that you and others have done to set a standard of black communication, we are, in our own way, trying to continue that. And certainly, and I just want to take this moment, Brother Bob, to salute you for the work that you've done, for holding the standard of communication, of black arts, and basically being a standard bearer. And we hope that radio will return, and particularly having someone like yourself and Gary back on the air together to the standard it was, which was supposed to be an art form, an opportunity for us to promote our history, our culture, and the best of ourselves. So in closing, I just want to give you an opportunity to share.
Okay, let me do it quickly, since we have to close. It is important that people understand the power of the media.
Yes.
And the power of black radio, because it is in the hands of people, the broadcasters,
Correct.
are people that the audience trust. So look at what we were able to do with Night Talk.
Yes.
Night Talk raised the money to buy the Lorraine Motel and gave that money to the Martin Luther King Memorial Foundation so that they could turn it into the Civil Rights Museum that is currently there. Black radio around the country from Night Talk made that hotel possible.
Yes.
Black radio raised the money for a young sister in Kansas City who needed an organ transplant and who had been told that it's your money or your life. And she had no money for the organ transplant. On Night Talk, We raised over $100,000 to pay for her organ transplant. We did a number of things. I organized the Respect Yourself Youth Choir.
Yes.
Took that youth choir to Tunica, Mississippi. They sang around the country with me, raised money for young children in Tunica. Tunica was the poorest county in the poorest state. It was in Mississippi, but it's the poorest county in all of Mississippi.
Yes.
There are any number of things that we did, including the Buy Black campaigns, where we actually put people on buses and vans and drove them to visit black-owned businesses. So there's it is in our hands. The radio became an activist media, and so there's that kind of power. And I maintain that is why it had to be removed and replaced with the buffoonery and the anti-black content that is on black music radio today.
Like Cream, it rises to the top, and I'm so glad that despite what others were thinking about doing, that I think that the good stuff is coming back, and good people like yourself are there. And certainly I am just so excited. I think that this event is really a testament of time, and certainly the work that you've done and the work that you continue to do is a testament to the perseverance of our community and our culture. On behalf of Cultural Caravan, and we've got to have you back.
I'll be glad to.
This is just so much I can talk about, but I am so honored that you had taken the opportunity to be with us today. Thank you so much, Brother Bob.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.